Airbnb industry financial statistics, sales, expenses, profit, and more. March 13, 2023. Adam Hoaxema. The IRS publishes tax return data each year on the roughly 28 million sole proprietorships in the U.S. We analyzed the 28,716 tax returns that were filed in the Airbnb industry to pull out some key statistics and insights to help our customers ensure that they are creating realistic financial projections for their Airbnb business. We hope that this data will be helpful for you as a reality check for your financial projections and Airbnb business planning process. We hope you create a forecast for your unique situation and plan, and then use this data to make sure your projections seem reasonable based on industry averages. Here is what we will cover in this article. Table of contents. How to use the data. How many Airbnb businesses in the U.S. are sole proprietorships. Average annual revenue for Airbnb companies. Average annual expenses for an Airbnb business. Average net profit margin for the Airbnb industry. Top 9 expenses for an Airbnb company. Average depreciation expense for an Airbnb business. Average rent expense for Airbnb host. Average interest cost for Airbnb business. Average material cost for an Airbnb business. Average utilities cost for Airbnb business. Average repairs expense for an Airbnb business. Important details about the data. Learn how to use this financial data. If you are creating projections for your startup business, or you just want to see how your existing business stacks up to industry averages, you can take your income statement and compare key ratios and percentages for your business compared to this industry average data. How many Airbnb businesses in the U.S. are sole proprietorships? There are approximately 29,000 Airbnb businesses in the U.S. organized as sole proprietorships. We specifically analyzed 28,716 companies based on the 2019 IRS tax return data. Average annual revenue for Airbnb companies. The average annual revenue for all sole proprietorship Airbnb businesses in the U.S. was just $29,183. While this number might seem low, you need to remember that many Airbnb hosts are just operating a single property as a side hustle business and not a full-time job. This underscores the importance of actually creating your own Airbnb revenue projections based on your specific Airbnb business plan. Average annual expenses for an Airbnb business. The average annual expenses for all sole proprietorship Airbnb businesses in the U.S. was $32,411. It should jump out to you immediately that average annual expenses for an Airbnb business are greater than total revenue. The specific dollar amount of expenses isn't all that important, but the ratio of expenses to revenue can be informative for what other short-term rental businesses might experience. Average net profit margin for an Airbnb business. The average net profit margin for an Airbnb business was -11%. This might seem shocking, but you need to keep in mind a couple of things. Once you add back in depreciation, which amounted to 12%, Airbnb businesses are actually break-even or slightly profitable on average. You also need to consider the appreciation in value of the property. So, if the property increased in value by 7% per year, your total return as an investor looks much different than the simple net profit margin calculation. How much can I make by owning an Airbnb business? On average, you can expect to break even from a cash flow perspective, and then your upside potential is the appreciation of the property over time. We dig into a ton of detail on the steps to start and the earnings potential of a short-term rental property in our blog post, How to Start an Airbnb Business. Top 9 expenses for an Airbnb business. Based on the tax returns of 28,000 plus sole proprietors operating in the Airbnb industry, the following were the 9 largest business expenses as a percentage of revenue. Expense as a percent of revenue. Depreciation, 12%. Rent paid on other business property, 11%. Interest expenses, 10%. Material costs COGS, 9%. Utilities, 8%. Car and truck expenses, 7%. Repairs, 6%. Contract labor, 5%. Supplies, 5%. Average depreciation expense for an Airbnb business. The average Airbnb sole prop spent 12% of revenue on depreciation. As a reminder, depreciation is a non-cash expense, so from a cash flow perspective, you can add back depreciation to your net profit, which brings the average Airbnb business to roughly a break-even level. Average rent expense for an Airbnb business. The average Airbnb business spent 11% of annual revenue on rent. This is interesting. This highlights that a material percentage of Airbnb hosts must be renting their property instead of owning the property. Average interest expense for an Airbnb business. The average sole proprietor Airbnb business spent roughly 10% of annual revenue on interest expenses. For those hosts that don't rent their property, they might own the property and have a mortgage loan. As mortgage rates continue to increase, you can see the massive impact that interest rates can have on Airbnb profitability in our video, Airbnb and interest rates. Average consumables expense for an Airbnb business. The average sole proprietor Airbnb company spent roughly 9% of annual revenue on material costs. This would be for consumable items like snacks, drinks, paper products, cleaning products, etc. Average utility cost for an Airbnb business. The average Airbnb host spent roughly 8% of annual revenue on utilities. Average repair cost for an Airbnb business. The average Airbnb host spent roughly 6% of annual revenue on repairs to the property. Important details about the data. I want to point out a few key items about the data. You can download this data for free from the IRS website. The data includes 28,716 Airbnb sole proprietorships in the U.S. in 2019. This data will include businesses that operate full-time and businesses that only operate on a part-time basis. Because of this, you should take the raw numbers for revenue, expenses, and profit with a grain of salt, but the percentages can still be quite valuable when trying to forecast expenses for your business. This data includes businesses from all across the country. Keep in mind that revenue and expenses can vary greatly based on your specific geographic location. We used 2019 data because we felt it was most likely to be representative of a normal environment for the industry. COVID-19 caused disruption to almost every business in 2020 and 2021, so we wanted to utilize normalized data. If you have any questions about the data or how to utilize the data in your financial forecasting process, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. About the author. Adam is the co-founder of Projection Hub, which helps entrepreneurs create financial projections for potential investors, lenders, and internal business planning. Since 2012, over 50,000 entrepreneurs from around the world have used Projection Hub to help create financial projections. Other stories to check out. June 19, 2024. Common troubleshooting questions about Projection Hub templates. Check out the quick and easy ways to address some of the most common troubleshooting questions we hear about the Excel templates at Projection Hub. May 29, 2024. 5 key tips to make your startup business plan shine for an SBA loan. Learn 5 key tips to make your startup business plan stand out and secure an SBA loan, from demonstrating market potential to creating realistic financial projections. May 9, 2024. How to know if your financial projections are realistic. It is important for financial projections for a small business or startup to be realistic, or else an investor or a lender may not take them seriously. More importantly, the founder may make a financial mistake without a reliable plan. Have some questions? Let us know and we'll be in touch. Follow. Most popular templates. Coffee shop fine and casual dining trucking and hotshot two-sided marketplace Airbnb/short-term rental. Products and services. Financial projection templates projection hub plus consulting services PH plus login SBA loan data analyzer tool industry benchmark data tool. Company. Home about pricing contact. Help. Templates support FAQs blog customer reviews pitch deck partners free resources and tools. Copyright 2020 Projection Hub. Terms and privacy. Airbnb. Financial projection template. Create lender-ready financial projections for your Airbnb business in an afternoon. Fully editable 5-year short-term rental model template including monthly and annual income statement, cash flow, and balance sheet projections. 5-year projected financial statements. CPA developed and completely customizable. Free support and projections review. Excel and Google Sheets. Video guide included. Buy now for $99.
The good thing about these guys is not that their templates are easy to use, but it's this customer support. You send them an email, if it's during the day within hours, they get back to you and they'll give you a video explainer walking you through the solution that you are seeking. And if you don't understand, you get back to them immediately. You get an updated response. I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen anything like this. We are all dealing with different stuff and different providers online. And when you send the ticket to customer support, how long does it take? Usually a day or two, if ever.